excited. Hello, hello, hello to everybody. All right, y'all come on in. Come on in. I have a special treat for you all on tonight. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. All right. So let me go ahead. Look, let me share. Let me make sure I'm sharing this out everywhere. So we are streaming live right now on my personal profile on Facebook in the group DU and also on YouTube. So hello to everybody out there who is watching and joining us. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hi, Charla. Charlotte is on it. She's in there. She's in there. Hey, Charlotte. Charlotte is going to be on with us tomorrow night. So we're excited about her new book that is coming out. And so tonight, you guys, we have a special treat for you. I'm not even gonna get into it. We can't look. I think it's because we birthday twins.
Yeah,
Does that have, you think that has something
I
to do
think
with
it's
it?
not a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. But I tell you, when we get together, honey,
Amen. In a good
I
way.
am in a great way. Yeah, I just love it. I love the divine connections, and so we're excited to have you on tonight. Um, for those of you who are watching me for the first time, my name is Candace B. Woods. I deem myself the mindset architect, and I have the pleasure of being the founder of Destiny University, which is my business academy, my virtual business academy, which I absolutely love being the leader of. And it consists of believers, kingdom entrepreneurs, and servant leaders, where I have the pleasure of helping them to design, plan, and develop a compelling vision for their life and their businesses. And so tonight, I am in day two. Well, actually, day three, because I did do a replay of Marilyn, who was one of the first authors from the 2021 cohort for the book Inside of You program. And so tonight we have another amazing entrepreneur that I'm going to be introducing to some of you and presenting to others. She is an amazing woman of God, and I'm gonna read her a little bit of her bio. But she is the author of the new book, Girl Embrace It. And it is a 7-step method to embracing and releasing your it. And so we're going to get a little bit into what your it might be tonight. But I'm excited to have her here and to share with you all of the amazing work that these authors have put in. And so this week, I am featuring authors from my book Inside of You coaching program. And all of them have engaged in my 5-step process for self-publishing. And so I'm so thankful and grateful because this was a God idea that I really just did it, the process for myself when I wrote my first book. It's called While I Wait. And I wrote that book 2016. And I had a couple of people who came about and said, "Hey, Candace, how did you write your book? What process did you go through?" And so one of my coaches used to say, "You know what, when someone ask you a question more than once, it becomes a product. So you need to create a product. You need to create a solution to that problem and to the question, and use that question to create a solution." And so that's what I did. And so I just began to share the process that I took. And from there, I sat on it.
Mm.
I didn't do anything with it. I was just like, no, I ain't gonna do anything with it. And then the pandemic came about. And I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and start writing my next book, but I wanted to invite others along the journey. So I was like, let me check and see if there are a few of my friends and people in my close circle who might be interested in writing a book. And so that is where the BIY Writers Lab was really birthed. And I reached out to a couple of my close friends. They actually paid me to be a part of the program. And so I'm so thankful to have friends that don't work on that buddy system kind of
Oh
thing,
my.
where they're like, you know what? No, we're going to invest in what you have. And we're going to actually pay the full price. We ain't going to ask you to discount it for us. And so they went through the program, and I considered it my beta program. And so this year I decided that I was going to continue the program. And now I'm being known as the book coach to many people. And so it has been an amazing journey, just to connect with other believers. And so I had the pleasure of connecting with Shalimar through Miss Jen, as she calls her, Dr. Janice Vance. And Miss Janice actually completed the program last year in writing her book. And so I love it when others have a great experience and they can pass along their experience with others. And so Shalimar and I were able to connect. And so let me give you a little bit of insight into who you have the pleasure of hearing from on tonight. Her name, again, is Shalimar Johnson, and she is the release expert and forgiveness coach and the creator of Girl Embrace It movement. She has discovered an embrace method that will allow you to shift your perspective about your a negatively impactful experience, and be free from unforgiveness, bondage, and guilt. Guidance from the Holy Spirit and lessons learned from life experiences of abuse, insecurity, and forgiveness have qualified Shalimar to push you to freedom. This method of embracing your has successfully helped Shalimar as well as many others, and now she wants to help you. And so I want you guys to just take a moment to celebrate with me, Shalimar Johnson. And I almost forgot. Wait a minute. That's not all. She's a wife and she's a mother, right? She's also a teacher full time, but she's an entrepreneur, and y'all, she got her own TV show. She has her own TV show. So I mean, I'm saying, like, she's rocking it. She is rocking it. And I've had the pleasure of being on her show. And so this is a little different. We were just talking about that a little earlier. This is a little different because she's interviewed me, and now I get to interview her. So I'm excited tonight. So pleasure to have you on with us, Shalimar. I appreciate you so much for being willing to do this with me on tonight.
Thank you
So,
for having me. I
oh, my
appreciate it. The
pleasure.
pleasure
My
is equal.
pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah, good deal. So let's get
Yes.
into it, Shalimar. Let's get
All
into it.
right.
So, um, you've written an amazing book, and y'all, it came
Thank
packaged
you.
so cute. Like I was so excited to open up my package the other day when I got the book. And so, Shalimar, tell us a little bit about your book and why you wrote this book.
My. I'll start with the why.
Okay.
Um, so literally about 20 some odd years ago, I decided that I was going to write a book. I kind of just said, I want to write a book. But what got me to wanting to write a book was because of what I'd experienced in life up to that point, including domestic violence.
Mhm.
And I brought it to someone's attention. And the response that I got from that individual caused me to decide not to do it anymore.
Mhm.
And then a few years down the line, said, you know what, I'm going to go back at this thing again. I'm going to start writing the book again. And then someone got a hold of my notes and my writings and all the little papers that I had put together. And I said, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore because I was violated. Someone has tapped into my personal space. I'm just not going to do it. So I continue to say I will and I won't. And
Mhm.
then finally, a couple years ago during the pandemic, um, I have a summer camp that I own and run. And what had happened was the mere fact that I just kept getting phone calls from various women that I knew and that I did not know, asking me about how to deal with the things that they were going through in life. And the questions that they were posing were similar questions that I had had in points in time in my life, which were
Mhm.
a part of the things that I wanted to focus on in my book. And I found myself constantly saying to these women, girl, embrace it. And then one
Mm.
day it registered. I said, what, did I just say that again? So then I said, okay, Lord, wait a minute. What is this all about? Because it obviously is something that I'm repeating and it is not intentional. I just realized that I'm doing it. What is this? Are you trying to show me something? And so, long story short, as I began to consult him more about what this girl embrace it thing was all about, he began to allow me to reflect and remember the moments in time when I talked to those different women and what our conversations were about. And I
Mhm.
began to make the connections. And I heard him just as clear as day. There were multiple things that he said to me, but as it relates to the book, he said, now write the book.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, the book. Okay, I guess I'm gonna write the book. But the reason that it didn't work before was because my motivation was wrong.
Mm.
The reason that it worked now is because I was in the right place, in the right space, and my intentions were right. And so that is what got me to writing the book, my life, my experiences, but then my obedience and my
Mhm.
open ear to hear, because my ear wasn't open before. And it was open to hear him and not open to hear me.
Mm, that's good. That's so good. That's so good. So I love how you mentioned the importance of motives and your motivations, right? So, and you begin with, let's start with the why, right? And so that is so important in anything that we do. We have to start with the right why. And I
Mm-hmm.
love how you stated that because it's so important to, especially when you're so vulnerable and transparent about your life and your experiences. When you're going into something like writing a book, you want to be careful about your why for doing it, right? Because you could have very easily gone into it with this ulterior motive to get back, to tell your truth, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to tell very intimate parts of, what's happened in your past, but you approach it from a perspective where you're not trying to hurt or harm anybody, but you're trying to use your pain for
Mm-hmm.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about you in this book and your message and your movement, right? Your movement in and of itself. So that, I love how you have a plan. You're giving people strategy. You're not just saying, hey, this is what happened with me and this is what I did, but this is how you can push forward, and here's a plan. Let's create a plan to make this happen for you. So I love that. And I think it's important. So if you are listening and you're an aspiring author, you got to make sure that you have a compelling why. And if you're a believer, it has to be connected to your relationship with Christ and your purpose. It should not be to hurt anybody, to play get back. I had that opportunity as well because my first book was
Mm-hmm.
what people thought it was about my divorce, but
Mm-hmm.
it had nothing. It talked about my divorce and my experience,
Mm-hmm.
but it talked about it from the perspective of how can I use my experience to help somebody else. I wasn't bashing him. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
go into what happened in our marriage or anything like that. But it was a place where I wanted to make sure that my life, was going to bless and help somebody else. So I love that about you. I love that about your
You.
movement.
Thank
So
you.
tell us a little bit about who you wrote this book for.
I wrote it for, well, and this might sound a little corny, but it is the truth. I wrote it for who God wanted me to write it for.
Mm-hmm.
But in essence, um, it's for the total woman. You know,
Mm.
it's not that I'm anti-man, okay? Because I'm not. I love men one at a time. Like I have my own one man.
Hello.
But it's because that's just kind of, where God has placed me,
Mm-hmm.
called me to the woman. And it is not the hurting woman, it's the woman that's dealing with the it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote it for that woman who knows that there is something she's dealing with that she's got to get past, but doesn't really know how or doesn't have the motivation to start. I was talking to a young lady, oh man, probably about 10 years ago. And in the conversation, there was this now created quote that I use often, and it is the hardest part of getting over your it is the starting point of getting through it.
Mm.
You can get over anything, but that getting through the part, and then I can get over it, that's the hardest part.
Ooh, honey.
And I have been told so many times in life, girl, just, get over it. And you'll be all right. But how? I get all of that, but can you give me some guidance? And
Mm-hmm.
because I'd experienced so much in my life where I didn't know where to begin, I also wrote this book for the woman who doesn't know where to start.
That's
Um,
good.
so that's who it's for, Coach.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And as you were talking, I was thinking about there was this concept that one of my coach when I first got started, she talked about the messy middle, right?
Mm,
And it's like it's always like we get started, and and we want to get going. Sometimes we get started, and
mhm,
sometimes we struggle with getting started. But then even when we get started, sometimes it's really that middle part of the process when you are closer to your breakthrough, but you're too far to go back, right? So
mhm.
it's like, okay, like I can't go back to where I was, but Lord, how much longer do I
You know what
have?
just came to mind when you said that, Candace?
Yeah.
You ever had something that you cooked? Let's say you made you some good oxtail. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's got that gravy. You put it in the refrigerator. It's real hard at the top, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
everything rises. And you
Mm-hmm.
put it on the stove to warm it up, and it gets loose at the bottom. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes liquefied at the bottom, and it works its way to the middle, but it's
Yeah.
not ready until it breaks at the top. And so when you were saying that, it reminded me of the pot and the
Mm.
process. It does start. You got to start at the bottom, and the middle is mushy, but you don't really get to where you got to go until you break through. And when you
Yeah.
break through, you can enjoy the good that's in the pot. That's just what came
Yeah.
to my mind when you were talking about the middle. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's a
That's
pot.
good. That's good. I told
Mhm,
y'all when we get together, honey, it's
mhm.
it's it's good stuff. Look, I told her, I was like, we just gonna let the Lord
Let
flow
the Lord, as long as
tonight.
you don't close your eyes and say, Father God, then it's done. We done. We ain't going nowhere.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When I tell you, like, yeah, it's just so amazing. And I think we even our stories are similar in the sense
Mhm,
that we have both gone through some experiences in
mhm,
life that were messy, that caused us to act out of character, that caused us to forget or not even recognize our worth and our value, that have made us wonder and question, do I want to get married
Let me
again?
tell you something. Okay. I talk about declarations and affirmations and stuff in this book. Before the
Uh-huh.
book, I declared and I decreed that I wasn't gonna ever.
Well,
I'm so serious. It was gonna be me and
mm-hmm.
my children and
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. And
Mm-hmm.
that was it.
Yeah.
And and then he changed my mind. And let me know that's what you thought. But I am God.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, baby, I did not ever that.
Yeah.
And you know what got me? If we just speak of relationships very quickly, when
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't trying to do it right, I ain't had no problems.
Mm-hmm.
I left who I wanted to leave alone alone. It worked all right. I didn't have these men just treating me like trash and cussing me out and literally spitting. That's a whole nother story, but that's
My
my
Lord.
story. I didn't have those experiences. But it's the trick of the enemy though.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I try to do it right, I go to church and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, and the men that I date, they in the church, and they got position. They know Jesus. At least they seem like they do. Let me go and
Lord.
I
My
don't
Lord.
want to meet them in the club. Let me meet them in the church. Get
Mm-hmm.
married, doing the right thing. And it went all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And what the devil will do is try to make you think that the wrong way is right.
Mm-hmm.
But the wrong way wasn't right. It just felt good,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I had to get to a place where not only did I understand significance of marriage and the weight of marriage and the meaning of it, I also had to get to a better place of understanding the way in which the enemy works.
Mm-hmm.
I heard so many times, what God put together, let no man put asunder. The
Mm-hmm.
three chords, you're getting married, you made your back, all of those things that everybody always says. And
Yeah.
then when I got in the thing, I was I didn't know what to do, where to go, what not to do, how to do it, which place to turn, but then I had to I had to sit back literally and talk to God and say, okay, Lord, now what am I to get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
Because surely
Hmm.
now I may have missed the signs. You probably told me that one wasn't it, but I got in this thing. Now you got to help me get out of it. Marriage is not supposed to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in my word. And I realized after I got in it, there was so much I didn't know. But if I
Yes.
wasn't opening it, how was I expected to understand it? I just
Yes.
thought that some kind of way, this magical way, I guess, that I would get this revelation, no pun intended, this epiphany.
Yeah. Come on,
And,
KBR speak.
and it was just, I was going to know what to do. No, you got to
Yeah.
study the word
Mm.
so that you can fight the devil and stay grounded. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was that marriage thing, baby girl.
My Lord. Woo, honey. Look, let's get into
Mm-hmm.
um help the people recognize their it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, their
Mm-hmm.
it. Because somebody on here who's listening or who watched the replay needs to know and bring up and be aware of what their it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know that you have a 7-step method to help them get to what that is. And then
Mm-hmm.
also learn how to release it, let it go, and then forgive, right? Because you are the release expert and forgiveness coach, which I love that, by the way. You already
Thank
know.
you.
But I think it's important for people who are watching, and there's somebody who needs this specifically because I feel my help right there, Shalimar.
Uh-oh. Holly.
There's somebody specifically who needs to identify their it, and you define their it as a negatively impactful experience, right? And there's an experience that many of us have gone through, and it didn't just happen, by the way. It's something that happened in your childhood, teenage years, that has carried over and has continued to be a stronghold
Mhm.
in our lives that has held us back and kept us stuck. So I want you to talk a little bit about, you know, your it, and how do you know what your it is?
You know what your it is when in the moment joy doesn't stand up.
Hmm.
For example, um, I can be, Lord, I need this promotion and I need this increase in my income, and it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you become anxious,
Mm-hmm.
and the anxiety causes you to draw back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing. So, and it doesn't have to be abuse and neglect, and it's anything that impacts you in a negative way. And the
Mm-hmm.
negative piece that positive increase created was this shell that you've now gone into.
Mm-hmm.
And when you realize, okay, now I'm nervous. I don't want to sign the paper. Should I not? I'm starting to second guess whether I really deserve this. When those moments come in situations like that, or different types of situations with the same outcome, that is when you realize that is an it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is this an it? I have to start to do some assessing. When was
Mm-hmm.
it the last time I felt this way? Can I remember when I felt like this before? Okay, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't last year. Okay, was it the year? What other instances in my life where there were good things that happened for me, but I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
receive them? Wait, when I was in third grade and that boy, Johnny, embarrassed me when I won that award, I didn't know how to receive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I just didn't want to show that I was excited about getting something I deserved and I earned because I didn't want to experience another Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
And once that has become your reality in terms of you now seeing where it started, that's what
Mm-hmm.
you got to be released from. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to necessarily be released from that moment when you were anxious about the promotion and the increase. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
in essence, you do need to get past that piece,
Mm-hmm.
but that wasn't the problem. The problem was Johnny in third grade.
Mm-hmm.
And until you get to the root of the thing, it's
Yes,
going to still
ma'am.
grow. So
Yes,
that's one
ma'am.
way to identify the it. And another way is by listening to the people around you.
Mm.
Because sometimes we may not be aware of the shift in the joy to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, this might be an it. But if your homegirl is saying, now look now, Candace, and it happens too often,
Mm-hmm.
or if your coworker is coming to you with some information and it kind of stings you a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
instead of taking the offense, or if you find that you have taken an offense, why is this offending me?
Yeah.
Why did I take the offense? Is this something that I need to get past? Is this an it? It all starts with you. You have to make the assessment. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be available to hear, and
Mm-hmm.
you got to be available to feel it. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to feel good. But if you're so hardened, if your heart is hardened, if your spirit is not open to receive, I'm not saying open because now open is a whole nother situation. I'm not talking
Mm-hmm.
about open to any and everything, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking of open to be able to feel God when God is doing what God does. Then
Mm-hmm.
you'll miss it. But you're going to get back to that place again where you're going to have to experience the it. Because if we don't get it, God's going to make you get it one way or the other. You're going to get it. But you
You
have
better
to make
say
sure
that.
that you make yourself available.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those are how ways that you identify your
Ooh,
it.
honey, look, I'm telling, look, Shalimar.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on now. Like, look, we might have to do this again.
All right.
This is so good. And
Yes.
I think people we struggle so often, and I'm just, as you were talking, I started to think about my it, right?
Mhm.
And I realized that my it, for me, um is manifesting now in feelings of or fears, right?
Mm,
It's fear of being abandoned, fear of being rejected, um, fear of being misunderstood. And so these things are starting where or have manifested, and not just in relationships, but they manifested in, job opportunities. They've manifested in business opportunities where I didn't feel like I was good enough and I second guessed myself and things of that nature, which is one of the reasons why I ultimately became a mindset coach, right? Um, I realized that in order for me to get through it or to get ahead of it, I needed to embrace it. And I also needed to lead myself out of it because I
mhm,
know that I'm the type of person that I lead by example. And if I was really going to help myself, I
mhm,
had to allow God to assign others to me. It's kind of like that Harriet kind of
mhm,
movement. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm.
Harry was like, "Look, I'm finna get up out of here. If,
Right.
if y'all coming, y'all better come
Let's
on."
go.
you know, y'all
Uh-huh.
better come on with me because I'm finna go. Look, and
That's
so
right.
that's the thing. I think there are many of us, and I love that what you that the girl embrace it movement is what it is. It's a
Mhm,
movement. It's you're not just saying, I've got this all figured out. I'm this expert. No, y'all, we can go through this together, and I'm
mhm,
going to help lead you. I'm still figuring some stuff out, and that doesn't mean that
mhm,
my it doesn't try to come back or rise up again, but it
mhm,
just means that I have decided that I'm going to embrace it, and that I am going to move forward, and I am
mhm,
going to heal, and I'm going
mhm.
to forgive. And
Yeah.
that's what your book is really all about. And so I love that. And that was the first thing. The second thing is I want for those who are watching, and if you come back and watch the replay, there was something that God spoke to me and I wrote it down. And that is God wants to use your it to bless you.
Mm,
And for many of us, we're
mm,
holding on to it so hard that we feel like it's a punishment. We feel like God
mhm,
is punishing us. But no, God is trying to get something to us. And it's
mhm,
when you embrace your it that
mhm.
he can get what he has for you to you.
That's it.
And I say it all the time. I started mindset coaching because I struggled with my mindset.
Mhm,
And for a long time, I thought that it disqualified me because I was still struggling, that was a disqualifier.
mm-mm,
But no, no.
mm-mm,
And I love how even you said in your introduction that life experiences of abuse, insecurity, and unforgiveness have qualified you.
mhm,
God is the qualifier. He's the
mm.
one that qualifies us for the purpose and the vision and the destiny that he has for our lives. He qualifies us.
He does.
And
Can I
so,
interject there right quick? I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes, please.
Um, and the thing about it is that word trust rings
Mm-hmm.
so true. We really do have to trust God. Can I tell you, today I didn't see. I didn't see. Now he knows the plan that he
Mm-hmm.
has for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
All those years ago, I embrace it. Girl, huh? Ain't nobody, I didn't see it. I
Yeah.
didn't want to experience the things that I experienced. But there came a time when I decided, literally, to embrace it. And
Yeah.
I trusted that whatever, and I had to remember this, and whoever's watching, remember this. Permission is given for the things that you experience.
Mm.
And God's desire is not to hurt and to harm us.
Mm-mm.
His desire is for us to finally see who He is.
Yes,
And
Lord.
He knows that the way to get there for us is to allow us to have these experiences. And so I had to purpose in my mind to say, okay, again, embrace it, girl, embrace
Yeah.
it. Like
Embrace it.
what I am dealing with at the end is going to work out.
Mm.
And I got
Mm-hmm.
to be okay with my end being 10 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
my end being 15 years from now. And in the
Mm-hmm.
book, in part two, which is the method, and it kind of goes to one of the things that you were talking about when it resurfaces, there's a
Mm-hmm.
plan that you create for that purpose. You got to be a step ahead of the enemy, y'all. Create the
Yeah.
plan so that because it will happen,
Mm-hmm.
but when that moment comes, nope, I got a plan. And we
Yeah.
go back to what was the plan that I created? Okay, so when this happens, this is what I'm going to do. And
Yeah.
this is how I'm going to do it. This is how I defeat the enemy because my mind will not be taken. My mind will not be consumed. All right, I
Mm.
got the plan. Now you need to create the plan and act on it.
Yes. Yes.
That's a part of because we always got to have a plan. He got a plan.
We always got to have a plan. Amen. I love that. We
Mhm.
got to be proactive.
That's
You
it.
can't wait until it happens. You can't wait.
Mhm.
And that, I've have and we both have a background in psychology as
Mhm.
well. And so, one of those were a lot of what I used to teach to foster parents, and just talking
Mhm.
about how to help our children recognize their triggers, right?
Mhm.
You got to recognize your trigger. You first of all, you got to recognize what your it is, but you have to
Mhm.
recognize when it is taking place in the moment.
That's right.
Right? You got to recognize your triggers, like what's happening right now? Why am I so upset? What am I going through? What am I experiencing right now?
Mhm.
What are my thoughts?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
go to the plan.
That's right.
Go to the plan. I recognize that I'm experiencing something, and I don't want to act up. I don't want to act a
Right.
fool. I don't want to forget, how far I've come. So
Mhm.
let me go to the plan and work the plan and
That's
engage in
right.
the plan and help myself to get to remind myself of who I am, and
Mhm.
remind myself of my destiny and my purpose, and that God has a greater plan for me, and this is just temporary.
That's it.
This
All
is
right,
just temporary.
Candace.
I'm telling.
Uh-huh.
Look, okay, we gonna act
Uh-huh.
right. We gonna act right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
we will. Whew.
We gonna act right. All right. Okay,
That's it.
so let's shift a little bit. And
Uh-huh.
before we go, because we're going to go in just a
Yes.
second, but before we go, I really just want for you to share what your experience was like in the BIY Writers Lab. Like, I already know I've been blessed for you to tell me and share your experience, but I want the people to know, because there might be somebody out there who's on the fence about joining the program. And so I
Y'all,
want
I
to hear from you.
joined Destiny University Fivefold Ministries, where the presiding prelate is. Okay, but no, if I can be very honest, I know for sure. Well, I'll start this way. It was definitely a God thing
Mhm.
because I when God told me to do the Girl Embrace It movement, right? And he literally instructed me, and I can get long-winded, so cut me when you need to cut me. But when I get to talking about him, I just get excited. But he instructed me to create this Facebook account, right? And it's connected to Candace, y'all. So I'm going somewhere. Just follow the story. I'm painting the picture. Um, and I was like, and I was laying in my bed, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, Lord, a Facebook page wouldn't know, but where the friends coming from? A new one? No. And he was very specific. Do not add anybody that you know. And I said, okay, Lord. And I'm gonna be honest. I was like, is it him? I had to close my eyes. And then he told me the women will come.
Mm.
Now, how I started, I can't remember. I don't remember where I found the first person. I honestly don't. But I
Mhm.
found some folks. And then the friends began to come. And somewhere along the line, I came across Dr. Janet.
Mhm.
And she had a live where I want to say it was like a group where because I remember seeing multiple women. And I just listened. And he said, she's one of them. I didn't know what he meant yet because I didn't have my TV show yet.
Mhm.
And I was like, she's one of them. So I wrote it down. I wrote her Facebook name down and everything. And fast forwarding, I reached out to her after the show
Mhm.
began and I interviewed her on the show. I became aware of what all the things were that she was doing. And I came in one of the days that I was available to one of her meetings on the evening. I don't recall what day it was.
Mhm.
And I saw your face and I heard him say, you need her.
Oh, wow.
Like, for what? In my head, I'm like, why do I need her? So I'm going to think, not in a bad way. I was going to think, like, well, the women in marriage, I said, she's a marriage counselor. Like, what do I, because Dr. Janice's group was about, married women and women that are
Married
waiting to
women.
get married. So I was trying to make the connection. And then you talked about what you do.
Yeah.
And I want to say, if it wasn't that same day, it was another instance when I told you, I was like, can I just say something real quick? I said, I don't know when,
Mhm.
but we're going to connect. I hadn't even started writing yet the book, but I heard him tell me that I needed you. So I knew it was
Yeah.
going to be something. So finally, I wrote the book, y'all. And this speaks to her expertise. Okay. It is one thing to help a person from the very beginning, first word that they're writing, the first steps of the entire book process. But I had
Mhm.
already written the book. First of
Mhm.
all, her 5 step, if I wish, and I might not have been obedient because the Lord might have told me long before I finally said something to you to say something to you. I took 50 steps and then she did everything in five. And I was like, so my 55 steps could have been done in 5 steps. But my
Oh,
point in
wow.
that is I came to her with this somewhat created manuscript. I typed all this stuff up. I'm a language arts teacher. And so I was making sure everything was edited the right way. So I figured, but then I understood that depending on what you're writing determines how it's supposed to be structured. And I had never written a book before, so I didn't know, and I wasn't having any success. I was trying to figure out how to self publish. I looked up Google up the wazoo, and everything I came across, I just ended up at a wall
Mhm.
until I got connected. And I think I was done in 3 days.
Pretty
She
much.
gave me what I needed. And I was like, wait a minute. But she knows what she's doing, y'all. Because, she could have guided me the wrong way. And I would have been at step 65. But she helped me and then got me connected um, along the journey to a person that she uses, and she'll tell you who she has to refer you. She's got some great referrals that literally it was like, oh, you did pretty good, but no, we're gonna put this here and this punctuation there and this there. And I was like, oh, I'm a teacher. Like
Excellence.
crazy. It
Excellence.
was
Nothing
awesome.
but excellence, right?
Excellent. And then, guided me to who I needed to get, connected with to get the book cover together. And
Mhm.
it was just everything that I needed was in you.
Yeah.
You can go somewhere and find a book cover,
Mhm.
but it wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was in
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it, it what I had needed. I think y'all said this last night. Actually, was in your hands,
Yeah. Oh,
and you
wow.
had to pass that over. You know how in ministry there's the mantle that the leader kind of puts the mantle of whatever it is on whomever God instructs. It was as if similar to that. You had
Mhm.
what I needed right here.
Yeah.
And all I needed to do was be open to receive it. So no matter, to whoever is watching, no matter what phase you are in your book writing process, you're going to need guidance. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if you are a language arts teacher who writes all day long, you are going to need guidance. And you need to be very specific about who you choose,
Mm-hmm.
just as you are particular about other things that you choose.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to choose someone that can be trusted. And I know, y'all, that she's right here in front of me, and anybody that knows me, and hopefully there's somebody that would like to, get to know me on a professional level, you will understand that I'm very open and transparent and truthful. And I
Mm-hmm.
try to be as truthful in the most respectful manner as I can, but I'm not lying just because Candace B. Woods is by me. Because I know how to color stuff real well. I could say it another way, and she does what she does. And I could have said that. But the truth of the matter is, she's got the goods, y'all.
Wow.
She prays with you. She
Mm-hmm.
prays for you. I know that she's praying for me as it relates to me as an individual and for God's guidance outside of when we see each other
Mm-hmm.
virtually, because when we meet again, she's coming to me with something that thus saith the Lord
Mm-hmm.
before we start talking, which means that she was talking to him on
Mm-hmm.
my behalf.
Mm-hmm.
You need somebody like that. I'm talking about my experience. Now you can cut me off because I know you said we're gonna go soon.
Oh,
But I
you
have had such a
good.
great experience. I really have. And the genuineness that you possess. Well, first of all, as you said earlier, this is something that you want to do. And you know why you do it so well, Candace?
Mm-hmm.
It's because you understand the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that in order for me to get these people to get through this book process, I got to get them to.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get them to think because they already want it. You don't need to
Yeah.
pierce my heart. You don't need to
Yeah.
make me desire it. Because if I didn't want it, I wouldn't have reached out. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have signed up. I wouldn't have joined the group. Now you got to get my mind to a place where I can see it. And because you're passionate about that and you have experience personally
Yeah.
with the need to have to get your mind and your mindset where it needs to be, and you are
Yeah.
the mindset expert. Um, and I don't, that word is not used loosely because it's not a word to really boast, because what that means is you had to go through a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you're not grateful for what God allowed you to experience, but I'm sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, some of that stuff you could have done without.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm an expert because I went through
Good
some stuff,
child. Mm-hmm.
but I know how to get your
Mm-hmm.
mind right. And speaking of getting right, she holds you accountable. This little thing with these dates. Um, she doesn't play about that, but she wants you to do things in decency and in order,
Yeah.
and make sure that you see the return on your
Yeah.
investment. It doesn't. 5 steps, y'all. 5 steps.
5 steps.
And she is
5
not
steps.
going to be around here making you turn them 5 into 10. Now, look, I told you that this was going to be 5 steps, and I'm sticking to my 5 steps. Now, you need to get it together. All right, you missed your deadline. I will give you one more week, and then you get an email and a reminder and a message. But it's because it comes from the right and a good place.
Oh yeah.
So that has been my experience, Candace. I have become an individual who is now a published author.
Published?
But yes, girl.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
But
Hold on. Not just a published author. You are a
okay.
global. Global author. Come through,
But
Miss.
you got me connected though.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry, I know you were just talking, but
yeah.
I gotta give her some credit for that, y'all. Cause baby, if I would have did this book by myself, I probably would have just had the few that I bought in my little box. I wouldn't have been no global nothing. But she got me connected and got me to the places where I needed to be. And it just flowed, and it was just so peaceful. You know, the devil stuck his little stinking head up in there, but that's to be expected.
He tried it, but
Baby,
we weren't
he
gonna let that
tried.
happen. We weren't gonna let that
We
happen.
weren't. She prayed
But
too much for that.
yeah, oh,
Hmm.
yeah. But and I just love, and I'm learning to embrace being a as Karen would say, lifelong learner, right? And so
Amen.
even as I help and support others through the process, there
Mhm.
are still things that I'm learning along the way as well. And I appreciate you for allowing me to grow through this process as well. Because I was like, girl, that ain't never happened before. Let me figure this out. Hold on, wait a minute, right? But then I'm able to take note of it so that when the
Mhm.
next person comes along, we'll know how to avoid
You
those
created a
little,
plan.
yeah, that comes along.
Uh-huh.
So I'm so grateful and thankful for divine connections. I'm
Mhm.
thankful that you came in and you were coachable. And I know you were already tired because you were trying to figure this out on your own. And there might
Mhm.
be someone else who's listening
Mhm.
and watching tonight, and you're saying, wait a minute. I've been working, I've been Googling, YouTubing, I've been
Mhm.
trying to figure this out. And I just can't get it. Well, you need to join me in the 2022 cohort for the
Mhm.
BIY Writers Lab because I do guide you through. I literally guide you through the 5-step process and I help to support you along the way because they're going to be,
And
yeah,
sorry, I
go
gotta
ahead.
say this because it's
Yeah.
just tying into what you said. And she does not mind going. Now, don't take advantage of what I'm about to say. She does not mind going the extra mile.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there were times when I think it was late. I was like, Candace, coach, I know, but could you? Oh, okay, I'll make sure I'll help you out. If I can't, she'll tell you, if I can't get it to you today, you give me 24 hours.
Hmm.
But she's open to help
Hmm.
you in
Hmm.
whatever capacity she can.
Yeah.
And you know how you have those pastors that you can't touch?
Mm.
I'm going back to pastor. I mean, it is this where I go. But then you got the ones that you can touch and they're reachable and they're touchable. You don't have to, you got some you got to put them in a calendar, schedule an appointment, and that feels so
Hmm.
not it's just not personal. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like you feel like you gotta pay a preacher type of
Mm.
thing. Like I paid you for your services to give me 15 minutes and you're looking at your clock. She's not that type of
No,
individual. She's
no,
your service that you're getting from her is truly that she's a servant
I am.
and she doesn't mind serving
Yeah.
because she wants you to win in the end, y'all. If you will, and I know you were doing your plug and you were saying whatever you had to say, but I had to say that because it came to me. You helped me so much, girl. I just, honey, because I was just lost.
Yeah,
I
and
was told
I
her
and
shoot.
I honestly I don't mind, and I don't
Mhm,
know how much longer I'm going to be, in a position. And I pray that I'll always be one of those people who you can reach and who's touchable, and personable with others because that's my desire. That's my true desire, which is why I limit how many people I have in my program
mhm,
at once because I don't want to be one of those coaches that you can't contact, that you find
mhm,
yourself lost in these big groups. I'm not knocking it because I'm a part of some of these big groups, and sometimes
mhm,
I kind of feel lost as well. But
mhm,
I just wanted to make sure that I could connect with people and that I know and understand your vision and what you desire so that I can stay connected to you. And it's really all about building trust. You know,
yeah.
it's about building trust. And that's what I teach so much in DU,
Mhm,
building relationship. Don't just take, sell it and say, oh,
right.
okay, this is the investment, but actually give them the return on the investment.
That's right.
And
And you got to be trusted because
yeah,
people are, I know you can write a book about anything, you know what I'm saying? So even if it's something that's not your story personally, it's still your baby. And you've
Mhm.
got to put that in hands that you can trust. My book tells some of my story and the experiences that I had. And I had to be able to trust, because I knew you were going to have to look at it at some point, if not the whole thing, a piece of it. And I trusted you, but you
Yeah.
earned that right from the get go. And
Yeah.
yes,
Wow.
trust is important. Y'all can trust her. You can take my
I
word
appreciate
for it.
that
Mhm.
so much. Thank you so much for that, Shalimar. And I really do appreciate you for being on this journey and for allowing me to coach you on your journey. So before we go, tell the people what you
Mhm.
have coming up next. What do you have going on in 2022 that they can be, excited about?
Oh, Lord. All right. So coming 2022, I have taken in the embrace method and multiplied it, if you will.
Yes, Lord.
And if you are an individual who either is a business owner or an employee and go through professional development sessions, I am now going to be offering my 7-step method in the format of professional development, because I know that a lot of times the focus when we go through those sessions are to make sure that you are prepared for the customer, for the client, for the student. Seldom do these owners and managers and principals think about the preparation that is needed for the employee, and you
Mm,
got to release your it too so that you can be effective in the workforce. So I'm taking that to the workforce. I am also offering my service. It is the Embrace Academy, and I'm offering the same service, but it has some differences and variances for children and colleges and universities. So fifth grade students.
yes, you
Yeah.
better say that. You better say that. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. And I tell people all the time, even though you were already an entrepreneur and you were already you had your camp and things going. And then you started your TV show, and God has been blessing you in that. But I love how God just continues to enlarge the vision, right? And we talked about that during your book
Yeah.
process. And even though, y'all, let me tell you something, even though I'm supposed to be, talking to you about books, your book, right? We talk
Yeah.
about that. But we also talk about vision. Like, okay, once you get the book done, what you gonna do with it, honey? What
Hmm.
are we just gonna, just sell it and then just be done with it and sit on it? Are
Yeah.
we going to actually use it and to create an additional stream of income? And so those are the things that
Yeah.
we talk about. And so I ain't gonna tell y'all everything that Shalimar and I discussed, but I knew
You so did.
that there was something bigger. There was something
Yes,
bigger. And when God speaks to me about that bigger, I'm gonna tell you. You know what I'm
you
saying?
did.
If
In the
He
middle of the
allows me to
conversation.
release it,
Yes.
I'm going to
Hmm.
tell you. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
and most of the time, it's going to be confirmation, because if you've already been speaking to God about what your next is, and He's giving you some insight to what that is, I
Hmm.
believe that what I share is often just confirmation.
And that speaks directly to what I said earlier, when I said
Yeah.
I know that you are before the Lord
Mm-hmm.
in the times when
Mm-hmm.
we're not before each other,
Yes.
because moments like that happen, and I
Yes.
ain't telling you nothing. So I said,
I'm so glad. Look, you got me over here shimmying because I'm so excited. I'm so
yes,
excited.
girl. And then if I
Oh,
may just say this really quickly,
yes,
the other
sure.
part of what I'm doing, I'm not leaving Girl Embrace It alone. So the Girl Embrace It piece of it will be for, women, women's conferences, um, gatherings, girlfriends gather and you want to have a release event, and we
Yes.
can have that. So that is the capacity in which I am working with the Embrace It movement overall in 2020.
Love, love, love it. Love it.
Thank
Love it.
you.
Love it. Well, you guys, I told you that you were going to receive an amazing amazing connection, and that she was going to give you something that you could really take and apply to your life. And she did just that. I wouldn't, scared at all. I knew she was gonna come with it. And so, you all, if you would just take a moment and go to the website biyauthors.com. You can get your copy of Girl Embrace It, the 7-step method to embracing and releasing your it. You can get it tonight. As a matter of fact, somebody already has got their copy tonight. So
Hallelujah.
go ahead, get your copy of Girl Embrace It. I promise you, it is going to bless your life. And then go on over to Shalimar's page, connect with her there. Stay connected. If you are an influencer, a coach, an author, get on her show. Get on her
Amen.
show, right?
Amen.
Saturdays with
That's her day.
Shalimar. Get on there. I promise you, it's a great experience. She really will just make you feel at home, and
Thank
it's an opportunity for you to get more visibility,
you.
and to get more eyes on you as a coach and author and influencer. Somebody said, "Ooh, honey, we need to talk." Okay.
All right.
All right. And so Shalimar is the new global author.
To God be the glory.
The new global author.
Jesus.
You can get her book not only from our website, BIY Authors. You can also cop her book on Amazon. You can cop her book on Walmart.com. You can cop her book on Barnes and Noble.
Yes.
It is amazing. It's so amazing. And you can also go to girlembraceit.com as well, to
Yes.
get a copy there. So you guys, um I tell you, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited, and stay connected, because this is a definitely a connection that you're going to want to have, if you are, especially if you are a believer, if
Yes.
especially if you are a believer. So, that's all I have for you guys tonight. As if that wasn't enough, that's all I
And we
have
have more
for you
now.
tonight. And so I'm so thankful and grateful for you. Thank you, Shalimar, for this,
You
and
are
thank you for all of
welcome.
the kind words, and for sharing this program and your experience. I appreciate you so, so, so much. And I know we're gonna stay connected.
Oh
So,
yeah, no
so
doubt.
keep me posted on your events and all that good stuff, because
I
I'm definitely
will.
coming to the A. Okay,
I
I'm coming.
will.
All
And
right, you
thank
guys.
you so much.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Again, go to biyauthors.com. That's where you can get your copy of the books from all of the authors from the author's debut that we are featuring this week. I appreciate you all for joining us. If you come on and watch the replay, don't keep it to yourself. Share it out. Let other people know that we're over here, and that we are doing amazing things, and that we are being used by God for a greater purpose. And so, I appreciate you all for joining us tonight. Have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow night, where the two final authors of our author's debut will be featured, Miss Charla Webb and the lovely Latasha Matthews. She'll be on with us tonight, tomorrow night as well. All right, y'all have a good night. God bless you. God keep you.
Bye.
See you later. Bye bye.
Bye.